So let's start. I would like to welcome you all to our co-organized, actually with graduate program, our school and Department of International Relations seminar. And Ecem Evrensel, our recent graduate, will be with us today. I will be facilitating, I'm Emre from Department of International Relations, will be facilitating that seminar. And at the backstage, we have Ahmet Bartan assisting with our technical issues with us. So Evrensel will give us a seminar with the title, Decarbonization in the Shadow of Neoliberal Developmentalism, the Case of Turkey's Coal Industry. Before giving floor to her, I would like to introduce you, who's Ecem Evrensel. She's actually a graduate of our undergrad in 2019. And most recently, she has completed her master's degree again, this university and this department, and by successfully presenting her thesis. And previously, she worked for 2 different research projects funded by Yaşar University as a project assistant. Currently, she is a project assistant at our universities, Yaşar University's Center for Mediterranean Studies. And currently, she is assisting an international funding project on Turkey, Asia, and European Union in a changing global order. Her main research interests are energy transition, political economy of energy, and climate change. And last year, she co-authored a book chapter with me with the title, English title, The Role of Cooperatives in Sustainable Energy Transformation, example from World and Turkey, published by Notabene Press. So the floor is yours, Ecem.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you for all respectable participants, and also special thanks to dear Professor Emre. He was my thesis supervisor or advisor for all his supports with me, for me also. And then now I'm going to present my thesis research and share my okay. You can see my thesis title, Decarbonization in the Shadow of Neoliberal Developmentalism, the Case of Turkey's Coal Industry. As you see, my thesis is related to the energy politics of the developing countries. In the specifically, I studied about Turkey's coal industry. And I will explain in the further slides why I chose the Turkey's case. Now I will start with the research aim, research question, and also research problem. Developing countries do not present enough improvements or progress in the decarbonization process. And in line with this, the aim of this study to analyze why developing countries do not perform sufficiently in the decarbonization process, which is referring to the exit from the coal and fossil fuel resources. And then the research questions come up with why does Turkey lag behind in the process of exiting carbon and fossil fuels in line with the determined commitments by the international level, determined the commitments. The sufficient performance or is very relative because it depends on what you are comparing with each other, which countries are comparing. Turkey, as you know, is a developing country. As you can In the right part of the slide, you can the graphics, the carbon emission rates per metric tons per capita. Turkey's, this line is Turkey's, carbon emissions rate is increasing by year, and but also you can in the left part of the slide you can see these numbers. When you are comparing with the Turkey with the Poland, Turkey is worse than performing worse than Poland, but when we look at the Indonesia and India, Turkey is better than these countries because it's very relative and many determinant factors exist in this process. For the conceptual framework to my thesis research, neoliberal developmentalism. In particular, after the economic crisis of the at the international level, the states thinking about that what will come after the neoliberal order, maybe this dissolution of the neoliberal macroeconomic settings, and the new economic model has occurred in this process, but this reflection of the neoliberalism is changing according to specific geography or specific country. For instance, a new economic model, especially in Eastern countries such as Turkey, China, and Russian Federation, the post-neoliberal period is called as state-led capitalist countries or new developmentalism. Maybe the new phase of post-developmentalism, and some perspective is supporting the neoliberalism has many modalities, and this time this happening the articulation of neoliberalism and the populism and etc. And according to the political economy mapping methodology embodies three major components. These are the national conditions, the political system, and external projection and choice. But without the political system and external projection and choice, I took advantage of the national conditions and its major parameters. These are you can see energy security, climate vulnerability, public goods, high carbon economy, low carbon economy, and technology and innovation capacity of the specific countries. When I use the high carbon economy major parameters to analyze, and then I use the neoliberal developmentalism. It's based on state-controlled economic structure, but under the neoliberal macroeconomic settings, and also neoliberal macroeconomic calculations. The state believes that the superiority of the repeat economic growth, but the only repeat economic growth, is the best solution to respond to all problems within the society or all problems within the other political policy areas. In the literature, Edgar draws attention to the fact that the transition to a low carbon economy will be only possible with the decarbonization of the economy. But as I mentioned before, that the country's performance are relative and uncertain based on different determinants. For instance, the political regulation of the countries, economic incentives for it's very significant for which sectors and for whom. And also the tariff guarantees, tax exemption, and removal of subsidies to fossil resources. These are some of them. And then the developmental states are highly and aggressively focused on economic growth, for instance, in China. And it is reflection on the Turkey. We can analyze the Turkey's position in this process. The classical developmentalism always triggers the desire for repeat economic growth. And also it is affecting the country's, of course, renewable energy policies, climate change policies, etc., also environmental policies in a negative way. Developmentalism is placed on top of the neoliberal macroeconomic, which is based on the only repeat economic growth, and therefore the government ignores or disregarded other policy areas, for instance, environmental policies or renewable energy policies, just to ensure economic growth. According to these, in line with this approach, my main assumption in my thesis research, the growth model adopted by Turkey, also which is referring to neoliberal developmentalism, and leads to disparity or inconsistency between the economic policies and the decarbonization targets. To the methodology part, the case study method was selected to analyze because to answer research questions such as how or why research questions to support our knowledge of individuals, groups, and organizations, social and political relevant issues. In particular, the case study method is also used in the analysis of the economy of a particular sector, region, or country. Also, it is very compatible with my research, and the case study method is providing the critical lenses for the political economic research. The case selection, Turkey is very significant. Why I choose the Turkey? First of all, Turkey has the status of a developing country with a middle income. Also, you can see the world's 21st largest economy. And also the country has a growing population. This situation, of course, is affecting the energy demand and also desire for economic growth. But Turkey, at the same time, Turkey is very highly dependent foreign energy resources. But in contrast with this, Turkey also has renewable energy capacity due to the suitable geographical location. For instance, solar energy, wind energy on geothermal, and also hydroelectric power plants, etc. But the country is not the renewable energy share in the energy production is very low still. And then the Paris Agreement and 2053 targets also very significant. Turkey is a party of the Paris Agreement, and also national government should follow the agreement's major responsibilities, also the commitments, and also the agreement advise the countries should exiting from coal and other fossil fuels and put down all power coal thermal power plants, and also if generally developing country is preferring to gradually exiting from coal. But Turkey is not doing for these targets. And then another significant determinant is the Green Deal. Green Deal is put in force by the European Union. Also, the European Union is supporting the climate change issues and particularly supporting the sustainable economy with the member countries or non-member countries. In that point, Turkey has a developed economic relations with the European Union, and European Union is planning to enforce the carbon tax at the border. Also, the plan will affect the Turkey's economy in a negative way. For the data collection, I used both primary resources and also secondary sources. For the primary sources, the official documents of the Turkish government were published by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Environment, and also Urbanization, and from their official website. And also use the Turkey's 11th development plan. It was very significant for me. And then the various academic articles, of course, related to the relevant literature were used. For the findings part, although Turkey is a party to many international agreements on reducing carbon emissions, before the Paris Agreement, the UNFCCC and Kyoto Protocol also, Turkey was a party of these agreements, but the country is not reduced carbon emission rates because it still depends on fossil fuels is continuing. You can see the increasement on per capita carbon emissions, and also annual carbon emission rates are increasing. And also Turkey is among the top 15 countries with the highest coal-based carbon emission. And another result of the research shows that the Turkish government is still supporting the coal industry or mining industry with through several incentives. These are the economic, legislative, and social. For the economically, the government is providing some facilitated investment, price, and purchase guarantees, government funds, subsidies, and for the legislative part, the land allocation and other facilitators for the privatization, the companies or the lands. And the interesting part is in here, the social part of this issue. The coal distribution to low-income families also is very interesting. And then the resource spent for these incentives is calculated as 16% of GDP. The percentage also quite serious. And then when analyzed the Turkey's 11th development plan, and I determined some inconsistencies between the renewable energy articles, targets, and mining sectors. Of course, the development plan is touching upon the renewable energy capacity, and some targets exist to increase renewable energy share within the energy production. But in contrast with this, when I analyzed the mining sector and its targets, you can see the article 500.2 the article is by simplifying the permit formalities to ensure investment security, investment process will be accelerated and administrative burdens on the investor will be reduced. And also you can see that this graphic is referring to the distribution of capacity mechanism payments by source. The coal has the biggest share of these, and then the natural gas also is following the coal. The hydroelectric has very smaller part. Also, it is showing the government is supporting the fossil fuel resources with the economic incentives. And also you can see the comparison of the distribution of capacity mechanism payments made for the December for 2020 and 2021. You can see the again coal and natural gas has a huge amount of the this distribution of capacity mechanism payments, and significantly in here the increased rate also very high between the 1 year. For the conclusion, Turkey's growth model, which based on neoliberal developmentalism, is one of the most major obstacles, one of the most significant major obstacles to climate change policies and decarbonization process in front of the country. And while the neoliberal market is not abandoned totally, maybe the government should be able to organize their market incentives in a greener way, also which is known as the green capitalism, and also with a more transparent, predictable, inclusive, and sustainable model of economic growth. The national government will be able to achieve possible gains in various political areas, also which is known as the co-benefits. And thank you for your all attention. And now I'm waiting your respectable any comments, questions, advice, and etc.
So thank you very much, Ecem, for sharing your research with us. Yes, actually we have students here. Actually, we are in at the class with my research methods class grads, and somebody is raising hands here. So maybe you can come here and ask so that she can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I was curious as to, because Turkey spends a lot of money on coal and other resources, as we saw in the slides, but how much would it cost over time, or how much more expensive or cheaper maybe it would be to make that turn to green energy? Would that be so hard for an, like, let's say, bad economic situation Turkey is in right now? If they tried right now, would they be succeed? I don't know if you would know it, but, or maybe I missed it in the slides, but I was curious about that, because obviously coal is pretty bad.
I understand. This situation, of course, is not easy for, especially for the developing countries, of course, to the economic situation. But in the agreement and the Paris Agreement, the countries could use some funds or some money for this issue, and the developed countries also are supporting the developing countries for the economically, and also some incentives for the coal industry, maybe cut it, and this money should be using for the renewable energy capacity. The solar energy, also solar power plant, is not much more expensive. Governments should be organized this in a greener way. Because money is transferring to the fossil fuel resources, maybe their share will be decreased, and renewable energy, this share could be increased.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
I have a question regarding your slides, because in one of the last one you were comparing the coal, the gas, and the hydroelectric, but then in the other one you didn't mention the hydroelectric spending. So, like, I know that Turkey is putting much effort to the hydroelectric part, but
Yeah,
we don't see like how much is changing, like you make a comparison for coal and gas.
okay. The hydroelectric, of course, is most popular renewable energy in Turkey, but I think it is not totally supporting the protecting the climate, because the hydroelectric power plant is sustainability, of course, is questionable. And you can see the increasement from 2020 and 2021. The increasement in the hydroelectric is very smaller than when comparing with the coal and gas. Because
I didn't know that Hesse was hydroelectric, so I thought it wasn't here, and I was curious about it. But Hesse is hydroelectric.
Because the current government is highly supporting to the coal and natural gas, because the cheap resources these are. But according to whom, it's very significant question.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you, Ecem. Actually, as you mentioned, depends on who you ask and how you calculate the cost. It's not just the cost of course, the source that you've been utilizing per se, but also there are various negative externalities when you make that calculations. So coal comes with various negative externalities as well. And also regarding the first question that we raised, maybe we need to think about various funding options for Turkey in the case that it invests in
international fund mechanism.
Yes.
It's supporting actively for the development in particular developing countries.
Yeah. And also you briefly mentioned at the end of your conclusion, co-benefits. So could you please elaborate on them? Most probably they have missed that. What's that cost benefits about? What does it entail?
Co-benefits is meaning that there are to benefit from the different policy areas, but at the same time, for instance, if Turkey decided to increase the renewable energy capacity or power plant, maybe the qualified employment rate is increased, and besides that, for the political perspective, the Turkey's foreign dependency will be decreased at the same time on the energy issue, and also the from the perspective environmental, of course, the carbon emission rates will be decreased in parallel with this, and maybe the quality of life of the people will be increased, and etc. These are the co-benefits.
Okay. So thank you. So you have also, I mean, what I'm wondering actually here, okay, you have conducted a case study on Turkey, a developing country. But of course, as we've been discussing in the class here, if you have a single case, you have the problem of digging so deeper and you can miss the big picture, right? So to what extent you can replicate it in other cases. So I'm wondering what is next for you in this project. So to what extent, let's say, by your conclusions, can we utilize in the case of Poland, let's say, or how can we generalize for other developing countries? So I see there are limitations here. So do you considering, let's say, coming out with a further study, so
Yes.
to see whether your assumption works in the case of other developing countries? So what is next in your research agenda? Considering that you're also,
Yes.
your research interest comprises energy transition as well. So you provide us a, you know, piece of a small puzzle in the case of Turkey, and we have a sense of understanding about what are the obstacles on the way of transition to sustainable energy portfolio. So what is next for you in that?
Of course,
Okay.
the thesis have also research has some limitations. First of all, Turkey, as I mentioned before, that the developing country, maybe in the future, I'm planning to compare with the developed country and the successful country in comparison with the have weak performance country, maybe without the European Union members. I think I'm planning to compare with the Germany from the European Union and other developing countries, probably Turkey, and maybe the Poland, both with developing country and also European Union. And Turkey also energy imported country. Maybe I can study about the maybe exporter country and etc. But I'm planning to study about on the Germany and Turkey and Poland.
For the PhD project, huh?
Yes.
Okay. So any further question from here? Ahmet, do you have any question?
Hocam, you know, same old questions. All over again. I was listening, so maybe a recommendation.
By the way, a parenthesis, Ahmet is also a PhD student as a comparative study, right? Brazil and Turkey at the moment on economic development. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a recommendation. I mean, a question would be, I mean, I was thinking about a question, but I don't want to be too harsh on this neoliberal developmentalism matter, you know. But maybe a recommendation. Maybe you could also consider comparing Turkey not with a developed country, but with a developing one, which could be categorized as a successful case, maybe if we have any, because I have actually doubts about any developing country following a neoliberal developmentalist agenda and achieving the goals of sustainable development. I mean, do we have any examples like, moving towards sustainable goals in the field of energy, maybe decarbonization? I don't know. Maybe you can also consider. I mean, this is just a recommendation. I'm not an expert on energy, but when it comes down to the strategy of let's say strategies, like, so to speak, the strategy of neoliberal developmentalism, to me it is too much focused on economic growth, and governments, once the governments fall into this trap of following and achieving economic growth, they are somehow follow the tails of the dominant business. If the dominant business in the energy sector is coal, then the government, just for the sake of economic growth, just follow policies in line with the interests of that sector. Or there could be in other sectors internationally, affecting that specific country, a dependent country, maybe. That's my area of interest. So yeah, maybe, I mean, that could be such cases as well. So yeah, this is really interesting for me to listen to you, actually. So I really thank you for this presentation. Yes, I just wanted to comment on this thing. I don't know how you think about this, or Hocam, how you think about this, but yeah, I mean, when it comes down to economic growth, things get, swiftly complicated all of a sudden. So yeah, I mean, yeah, let's see. I will be glad to see Turkey on the path of decarbonization, ambitiously. Thank you.
Thank you for available comments, Ahmet Hocam. And yes, I understand your comments. I want to say I want to add some things. Maybe when I analyzing the economic part of the issue, I can analyze the political part of the issue. Also, it's very significant political structure of the countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I mean, you have done it quite well, honestly. Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
So Ecem, since we have our research students here, research method students here, so on the verge of some of them writing their MA thesis. So what would be your recommendations for them? So maybe you can guide them, because now they've been working on their research proposals, and how to come out with a question, how to, these issues, I think, needs to be also expressed by you as well, as a most recently gone through all these tough times. So how did you come up with this? How did you plan that? And could you also give them some insights about that? Thank you.
Okay. Difficulties in this process, but Emre Hoca always is supporting me. But I think, first of all, I start with the determining the research area. I was planning to do a study about on the political economy, and I determined in line with this research area to my research question in my thesis, and then I think the developing issue, if you are studying about in the current issue, it's quite difficult to follow developments, because it's changing within a similar time. Always you should follow the all developments and also updated their its own resources. It's very significant. And for instance, I could have worked more systematically, but the most important things I was experienced was the research design. Research design is very significant. Research design should be very well done, and I have difficulty with this because my research design is a little bit complex, but I of course did it.
Complex because of the planning issues, I guess.
Yes,
huh?
yes. Planning is very
Planning phase.
and systematic. Working and writing, reading at the same time is very significant. Writing, if you have a strong and you have final research design, the writing is not hard. It's very easy. The plan is very significant.
So if you have your plans, then the other part is the easier one. Huh?
And also following the current developments is very significant, and updated resources also significant. I had experienced that.
Okay. So your final chance to raise question to Ecem, who has just from this tough times and succeeded presenting your thesis, submission. So I'm joking. Actually, Ecem, you are in the first floor, yeah, right? The Mediterranean Center. So if something comes, they can come to you and you can share your insights with them, I presume. And we have actually a student here who is interested in sustainable developments with a focus on agriculture. Maybe, and Ecem, by the way, is also working another project that actually in a project, she's conducting various interviews with various political parties, let's say. Maybe
political parties.
Maybe next time, yeah, maybe we could have you for that research agenda as well. Also, it's a quite valuable, of course, way to collect data for your MA thesis. Actually, in the first phase, you think of conducting interviews, then you change your mind, I guess, right?
Yes. I was planning to do a study about the renewable energy cooperatives through collect data from the many renewable energy cooperatives, but I did not. Due to the
why not? So it's also could be lessons learned for, because Sami, you have been planning to.
Data collection through the interview is not easy because some process should be followed. You should contact with the renewable energy cooperatives and maybe political parties.
So finding the right persons could be tricky.
Yes, it is not easy to organize these meetings, to contact with these people. It's not easy. And also we have a limited time, both in research project and both in thesis. Maybe this is much more compatible with the PhD.
Okay, any question from our audience? No? So then we thank Ecem for her talk. Okay. So she's around in the first floor if you like to have a chat with her. So thank you very much, Ecem. Okay.
Thank you for all
Thank
participants.
you. Thank you, Ahmet,
Thank
on the
you,
backstage
Ecem.
for the technical support.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ecem, again for your work and
Thank you, Ahmet Hocam, for your also support. Yes.
yeah, that's nothing. You're very welcome. So yeah.
And also respectable comments.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you, Ahmet. Yeah.
Thank you, Ecem.
Okay. Bye bye.
See you later.
Bye. See you around.